So, are we on?
Yeah.
So we just have a couple of items on our work session agenda. The first one's the most complicated, so just hold that one for a second. Newcastle United Youth, as part of their 5-year grant, they
You have
were.
to leave it open, the door.
Yeah, open meeting as well.
They moved, so I guess that's not the same problem.
So as part of their 5-year grant, they are required to administer surveys, pride surveys. And so this is year 4, and so they're required to do it again. Before they actually got the grant, the town paid for the initial pride survey. And so this is just a continuing commitment. All of the funds for the surveys come out of Newcastle United Youth Grant. It's just that they're required to take and actually follow our administrative procedures. So we don't pay anything. It's not a matter of reimbursement. They just need to see that there's an approval from the town board. Next thing is that on December 10th, the town board authorized Newcastle Police Department to hire a new officer, Jordan Foley, and the date of hire was expected to be by January 13th. Because of administrative red tape down at the county, it takes a little longer for that process to occur. So there is a request for us to amend that approval resolution to change the appointment date to January 27th.
That's fine, I just wanted to thank Chief Ferry for sending that memo.
Yeah, I was like, is it Chief
Can I tell you something? So the notification of this also went to Chief Ferry, and I was like, do they think that he's like not still working here? So evidently in his honor, we are still sending that.
Well, I hope Rob approves, so.
Okay, that's 2 out of 3. 1 second, and the last minor item was the court asked permission for us to rehire an intern over the winter break. I told Diane DeSerpo, great, no problem, and then proceeded to forget about forwarding the memo to the board, so I do apologize. She's been working, she's great. She's been working at $14 an hour since December, actually, when did she start? December 17th? And she's only working probably till next week or so. Do we know exactly what time?
No.
It's just over her break, and she's been helping out in court, so. Sorry about that, I didn't like to ask her.
It's a long break.
Yeah, they all have these we actually have a number of interns that came back. Brandon Turco, who had been working in the administration over the summer, is been down at DPW, he's been counting double poles down there over break, which is fabulous, so we're thrilled to have him back, and he's been great, so we're thrilled. The most significant item on the work session is a water lien discussion. So we actually have an out-of-district user of Newcastle Water. They're a Mount Pleasant resident who is 10 years in arrears. We have, 10 years in arrears? Yeah,
roughly.
10 years in arrears. We have contacted, we've left door hangers, they had significant leaks that they were in denial about. They thought it was actually initially just a toilet leak, they shut off one of the toilets in the house. This has been ongoing for years and years and years. As it turns out, there was a significant shower leak, not the toilets. When they ultimately found it, there's significant damage to the house. The water has been shut off. It's been shut off since December. We contacted the Department of Health before we shut the water. We sent them dunning letters. We have been in contact with them. They have managed to pay school tuition, their property taxes, but not the water bill. And we have been unable to have Mount Pleasant put the water arrears on their tax bill.
Right, does it automatically?
It does for our residents. And we do that and Mount Kisco, for example, asks us to put water arrears for our residents, but they're out-of-district users on our water bills, which we do for them. It hasn't worked out with Mount Pleasant, so we're going to be.
Because they've refused? Mount Pleasant?
Yes. So we're putting in a formal request to Mount Pleasant I'm sorry, Nick, you probably could speak more on the
No,
actual.
right, so the state law allows for the town to forward a request for a statement of unpaid water charges to the municipality which does assess taxes, and it goes, then they send it on to the county. So at the same time, we're gonna send a copy of this resolution and a letter with the supporting documentation to the town, we're sending it to the county to request that it be placed in time for the April 2020 tax bill. So there'll be a lien on their taxes.
So how does that work then? I'm making up a number, if they owe $5,000 and they normally pay $20,000, so now their tax bill is $25,000.
Yes.
And they pay 20, does that go allocated to us first and then to their?
So the municipalities aren't allowed to accept partial payments, so they have to pay it in full. So you can't, unless you enter into an installment agreement.
So if they paid the 20,000 they're normally supposed to pay, that it just gets rejected?
Yes.
Correct.
So
Then
when there's a water rent
Yes.
on the tax bill, there's a total at the bottom, and that includes your special districts and any outstanding water rents, if it, whatever the town.
What was the number owed?
The number owed?
10,428. So it'll be added to their tax bill, they have the ability to enter into an installment agreement with Mount Pleasant.
We've also tried installment agreements.
Yeah, but we didn't reach this stage lightly or the first step, there were a number of steps taken, communications, extensions, agreements offered. So it's not one that we enter into lightly, but it's one that's necessary to protect the town's interests.
We contacted the Department of Health, they gave us a strategy to try to do it, water was, shut off for, a day, turned back on at night so that they could come home and function. That didn't affect them at all, and the water literally has been shut off since December, and
I gotta do what you gotta do.
and I think that's the last of it, is that it, Lon? Yep. Okay.
My kids leave the lights on all the time, if you could shut them off. Teach them a lesson.
That's the one thing we just
I
can't.
know, you can't.
Water ends, rehire part-time court, and, okay, police officer, yeah, we got it, okay? Alright, so,
We're going to there.
we're gonna,
Adjourning.
okay,
Move to adjourn?
yeah. Can we have a second, cause I don't think I hear the.
Second.
Must have missed that, what was,
Aye.
Lauren was.
I second.
Lauren?
But